notice I spaced them. We only have 2 women on this panel and 3 men. So we're going to make it interesting for these men because they will have to answer questions relative to women. Okay, so having said that, one of the things that I would like to ask, and I'll start with Jeannie, no? Why am I starting with Jeannie? Because she happens to be in charge of the great women of ASEAN. So what does that actually mean and what does it entail?
Okay, Great Women is a platform from the Philippines, but it means something. GREAT is gender responsive economic action for the transformation of women. It's a platform that is with public and private, with government and private sector, and we as Echo Store and Great Women carry the brand to the market for ASEAN. So it's a platform for women.
Great. And how many women actually, are they all women, I'm assuming, that are on that platform?
Actually, it's not just women because we also have male companies that support women. So the whole marketing advocacy direction is to bring as many women, producers, entrepreneurs into the platform so we can help them get to market, specifically the ASEAN market.
Okay. For you, Paul, you are in charge of the Retailers Association. So that is something that PA Joey always talks about in terms of brick and mortar. So how do you actually see this moving into the digital ecosystem?
In the case of bricks and mortar retailing, I would think it's an evolution. For a long time, our business model has been fixed on operating a physical store and moving into the digital space. A lot of retailers are learning that most tried solutions, most tried and tested solutions found overseas or even in the Philippines work for them. But that's not always the case. There's a lot of, for bricks and mortar retailing, a lot of our movement into the digital space involves a lot of experimentation, a lot of trial and error, basically to get what works for your organization. We hope, what the things we adopt works at once, but often than not, it doesn't work all the time. So you have to try and try again and find out what particular solution works for you.
Okay. Now, for you, Inaj, we were talking backstage trying to figure out what would be interesting topics here. And I think the use of the internet for trainings is very important. So what do you do as the biggest platforms for the retailers, okay, to go on to, you and Zalora? What do you actually do to help capacitate the people that would like to go onto your platform?
So for our platform, the success of our merchants are extremely important for us. Our success is defined by the success of our sellers. So we do everything we can in order to increase the sales of our merchants. One of the metrics that we look at is we don't announce how many merchants that we have, but we announce how many selling merchants that we have. Because we don't want people registering to Lazada, putting all that effort, and then not be able to make any sales. So in order to grow this, we have a lot of initiatives. We do training within Lazada campus. We have Lazada University online that you can log into and attend all these courses. We have live information sessions. We do AMA, Ask Me Anything sessions. As CEO, I join some of these sessions. And we have also a lot of materials as well, so that people can maximize their sales. There are some very easy tricks. I'm sure that some Lazada merchants are in the audience. For example, one of the latest things that we do to rank your products is to help people with white image backgrounds, so that if your product, for example, has a white background, we boost those products up because it's easier for customers to see these products. These are the sort of small tricks that we teach to our merchants so that they can increase their sales.
Zalora, would you care to jump in? Constantine.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, in the end of the day, Zalora is a platform and it's an enabler for brands, retailers, and also small sellers. to sell online and to reach 105 million Filipinos all across the country, and to reach more than 600 million people across Southeast Asia in the countries where we operate. So a lot of it is about enabling, which is one, providing the platform so that you can reach those customers in a great way and interact with them and get your products in front of the customer. And the other one is, of course, a lot of training and guidance in the back end to make sure that we bring everybody up to speed on how to do e-commerce in an efficient way. And I think the great and somehow very inspiring part of this whole e-commerce revolution is really that enables a small brand with a good product to suddenly get themselves out in front of 100 million people and really accelerate that journey, right? So previously, when you had a great product and a nice brand and you started, say, in Cebu, it took quite a long time to get reach beyond your own metro area and expand across the country. Now, if you have a great brand, say you're an independent designer, you're based in Cebu, you sell great dresses and they're really popular, you put them on Zalora and they're going to be all out there for 100 million Filipinos to shop. And previously, shelf space was a big limitation because you had to be a big brand to get the nice spot in the mall with the foot traffic or to get the good aisle in a store. In Zalora, if your dress is the one that clicks best and that most people buy, it's going to be all up there, maybe even being shown in front of the one from Nike or Mango, right? Because it's an egalitarian thing. And then beyond the Philippines, we can bring small brands to other countries in ASEAN. So we helped some of our successful local brands, one from Cebu actually that started very humble, to sell in Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. And I think those are quite inspiring stories for young entrepreneurs to really bring their brand out there if they have a great product.
Thank you. Leila, as head of AXME, what do you feel is your role in bringing in together the whole ASEAN ecosystem?
Right, thank you. A very good morning to all of you. I think let us touch on statistics first, okay? ASEAN Statistics 2016. We had approximately 634 million population, a market of USD 2.6 trillion, female population of about 50.2%, unemployment among 15 to 24 years old, female is about 11.4% and male 9.7%. So female is slightly higher there. So female students out there, make sure that when you've graduated, don't get unemployed. So based on social statistics, ASEAN is experiencing a rapid growth of internet, digital, social media, and mobile activities. So in January 2018 statistics, ASEAN recorded more than 370 million internet users and double-digit growth in most segments and in most countries, which is continually growing and attracting a lot of interest. So if you look at the growth, internet penetration alone is about 58%, social media penetration is about 55%, while mobile connectivity is 141%. So this growth has primarily been enabled through the expansion of course, technological revolution and the infrastructure that support the internet and mobile connection in the region. Okay, in terms of retail e-commerce sales in ASEAN in 2016, according to Statista.com, Indonesia recorded USD 5.29 billion, Thailand 2.88 billion, and Singapore 2.13 billion. So collectively, ASEAN recorded more than USD 10 billion in e-commerce sales, retail e-commerce sales. So whilst ASEAN market is collectively large, of course, we've identified some challenges in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the ICT infrastructure, in terms of the policies in regulatory environment, even perhaps resistance to financing, especially for our local, for our small and micro enterprises. So to address the challenges, ASEAN has actually established the ASEAN Coordinating Committee on e-commerce. I'm not actually part of the committee itself, but I can share with you what the committee does. They were recently formed to implement initiatives under the areas of work, ASEAN Work Program on E-Commerce 2017 to 2025. The work program is divided into different segments, looking at various initiatives based on the different mandates of the various ASEAN sectoral bodies, as well as the strategic measures of the ASEAN AEC Blueprint 2025. Okay, under the work program, they are looking at enhancing the infrastructure for e-commerce platform. They are looking at enhancing the digital skills to maximize the competency in e-commerce, not only for businesses, but also for regulatory personnel, law enforcement officials, etc. They're also looking at enhancing the security of electronic transactions. They're looking at building and strengthening capacity of competition authorities to ensure a level playing field in the e-commerce sector. And of course, this is a very important area, logistics. So ASEAN is looking at improving ASEAN logistics service to facilitate e-commerce through close coordination with the relevant ASEAN sectoral bodies, as well as the logistics service providers. But speaking on behalf of AXME, the ASEAN Coordinating Committee on MSME Development, of course, market access, promoting market access and internationalization among our MSMEs is actually part of the agenda that falls under one of the strategic goals of the ASEAN Strategic Action Plan for SME Development 2016-25 to 2025. This is where we work very closely with the private sector to look into developing, some initiatives, and programs. For example, capacity building programs, to promote the development of the e-commerce sector. So, so basically that's what ASEAN is doing right now.
As you can see, government has a whole lot of work ahead of them. And the good part about it, with the Business Council, things move faster in business. So with that, I go back to Ms. Jeannie here.
I think among all of us, I would say I'm the practicing entrepreneur. So we're the small ones. How do we get to that very big ASEAN market? 600 customers. What we saw with Echo Store when we started this 10 years ago was most of our producers were women, small, and most of our buyers, 90% were women. So there are two things happening here. We're building the strength of our small women producers, as well as the men who actually help women in their businesses. That's one. But we're also trying to empower the woman consumer. So as retailers, we try to look at the fact that women are also the market. So that's two. And you have that in ASEAN. In the Philippines, 50% of all our small micro women entrepreneurs, or rather our small entrepreneurs, are women. And unless we put money there, our whole economic system is not going to move forward. So this is our role when we began Echo Store. And when the marketing advocacy platform of Great Women happened, it has become even more focused in pushing more women towards markets through capacity building partnership with the government. But through our brand, which is Great Women, we push it towards ASEAN. And when we look at the ASEAN direction, the success comes from women helping women. And men too. Men, we need you. So if you're going to do business, you men, think of the women as your consumers. Think of helping the women also as part of your employee space. So we want to be able to help in all parts of this direction, create businesses together. So going to the digital space has been the natural step. From a brick and mortar and the challenge of Echo Store, we have it now at Echo Store Online, at ecostore.ph. With Great Women, we are focused for ASEAN. So Great Women ASEAN is moving into partnerships with such providers as Zalora and as Lazada into the B2C, but we're looking at services first. Because any woman can actually give her service, right? And begin her own little business. So now the strength is, how do we tighten the supply chain for value addition? So it's not just getting up there. We want to bring our whole Great Women network in ASEAN online. And that's where I think the great challenge is, how do we touch base with all the different wonderful apps, aggregators that are likewise doing aspects of the business, educational spaces that can now support this one platform focused on helping our women. It's Women's Month, March. And I think this is the space where we want to see how can we work together, because we've begun the direction, and it's both business and the advocacy, to just put in whatever thing you're doing an inclusive model of taking on another entrepreneur, a woman business, a woman employee, and even if you're a man, how can you mentor that woman? Because the moment you help women economically from the space of business, from the space of capacity empowerment, you end up having our next generation have better education, have better health, and their monies are plowed back into their businesses and their families. And this is data statistics. Not to push the men away, but 86% only goes back to the business. For women, it's often 90 to 100% that goes back into the business and will go back to the family. So it becomes very wise business directions and business strategies if we actually work towards this. And this is what we're doing in the marketing advocacy platform of Great Women. We're doing business with many women. We're doing business with different men who have supporting women under their supply chain. And this is how we get to the ASEAN market. Because what we've seen, a lot of little women producers, they'll go up and then they'll start their online space. And then they don't know what to do. That's it, right? There's a whole system in getting into markets, from your brand positioning to your build of your whole market space, to targeted marketing, to product development for new markets. And this is what the platform does together. So it's a win-win. I believe we all win when we let the women in. So that's for me, my
So who of you
my
believe
type.
in, what was that? We all win?
We win when we let her in.
We win when we let her in. Mga kababaihan, are we in agreement? Great.
That's not loud enough.
Not loud enough.
Women,
nagreklamo.
show your strength. Yes?
Okay, way
That's
to go.
why
You
it's
have
Women's
it.
Month.
Yes. Okay. Now, we were discussing women, and you mentioned it's not just a matter of helping women get into business, but knowing who your market is. The biggest problem in any business, yes, we have mentoring problems, how to run a business. Yes, we have finance problems. But once you are able to hurdle those problems, what's your next problem? The biggest problem, because now you've already spent time and money, and where is your marketplace, correct? So I will go back to both Lazada and Zalora here, if you don't mind, Paul, I'll get to you in a bit, because they have the biggest marketplace that you can access as of the next minute. The minute you get on the platform, you actually have how many are your users right now?
We have over 10 million paid customers.
Zalora, please.
Yeah, also several million customers across the Philippines, and 70% of them are women, so it's very much a
There you
female
go.
customer base.
It's just establishing exactly what was said here by Jeannie, that you have to take a focus on what women actually want to buy, because they are actually the biggest market for you, okay? So with that, when you were talking women earlier, I asked you how many women actually are on your platforms. Now, the next question is, how many retailers do you have that are women?
So on our platform, we have tens of thousands of merchants. Most of these are companies, not individually owned.
Okay.
So obviously these companies have a lot of
Women
female
working.
employees working in these companies. But we have recently launched an initiative together with Negosyo, together with DTI. We are forming a cooperative in which individual people can also sell using our platform, can reach out to 10 million customers that we have today on the platform, and we are very highly encouraging. We were talking inside to work together, getting women sellers on our platform, giving them priority, actually giving them better rates so that they can kickstart their businesses on Lazada.
If I can stop you quickly there, but do continue. So it's very critical that you listen to this, because if you want to get online, there is this DTI Lazada partnership, would you say, that's promoting co-ops, which will give you what commission discounts?
No commission.
Oh, no commission. All right. Okay. So now, Zalora, can you top this?
Well, zero is hard to top, right? But for Zalora, it's a bit different because we're not a seller general merchandising platform, but we're all about fashion and we're all about brands. And that includes big brands, but it also includes small brands. So if you have something unique to sell and you have your own label and you produce cute dresses or swimwear or whatever it is, then we really invite you to make Zalora your platform. Because there you reach an audience that is really passionate about fashion, and you get your brand presented in the right way with the right photos and the right content around it. And it's really about inspirational shopping and presenting your brand in the right light. So if you have a brand and you think it's unique and it could sell online on Zalora, then feel free to just drop me an email on LinkedIn or something like that. And I'm super happy to put you in touch with our team and make sure that we put your brand out there and that you get to reach the consumers you deserve all over the Philippines.
So Paul, you've been very quiet. I throw the question to you. As the Retailers Association head, what do you think is a good business that women can get into, and how would you be able to support them?
Well, as the head of my association, I have to say, retailing is still the best way to improve your livelihood. It's to bootstrap yourself from whatever economic situation that you have into prosperity. Proof is you go out into the cities and municipalities of our country, and you see so many sari-sari stores open all around you. And I think that's proof that retailing is still one of the best ways for women to get into entrepreneurship and going into the digital space. Retailing is still one of the easiest ways to get into business. Like what I mentioned earlier, opening an online business in the Philippines can be as simple as putting up a storefront on either Facebook or Instagram. When I discovered this some years ago, I was gobsmacked to find out that my mindset then was, in order for you to do e-commerce, you must have a platform, you must have a system. And yet, you see a lot of women selling fashion, apparel, foodstuffs on a social media platform. And back in the day, when you wanted to do e-commerce, if you don't have a credit card, oh, big problem, you can't sell. But over the years, people have gone around that. You can deposit your money to the bank, you meet up with your seller, you go to his showroom. I mean, a showroom, look, a commerce vendor operating a showroom. So the speed of evolution here of online retailing is so fast. But what I mean to say is, retailing is still the best way for women to get into business. And my association is ready to train persons who are interested into going into retailing to get the ropes of the business. In fact, one of our advocacies is to train businesses, to train people who are interested in retailing to know the business better, to know the techniques and the systems to make their business prosper.
Okay, just to remind you guys can jump in anytime you want to comment. So I think Jeannie and Inaj have to say something.
I think the space where we are in the Philippines and in ASEAN is that more women are really in the very small micro. We're speaking from retailers of this space that have already a capacity to expand and to level up. But still, I believe that we have to look at the very small women micro. And this is where the platform supports it. Because unless they are part of this platform, we have seen that they cannot get up. And that's why to get them to where that is, the retailing space, to get them to the ASEAN space, to get them to these spaces, the platform helps, the marketing advocacy platform. Because at the end of it, if you don't help and carry, it's not going to happen. And we've seen that through the years. We've seen it in Echo Store. We've seen it in great women in the brand that we do. And unless we are within an inclusive business direction, only then do we really see success. So the small women entrepreneurs here, you have to link up to the women who are doing businesses. The women doing businesses must link up to collaborative networks that support in the retail space. This now moves up and down so that we can bring up. At the end, we are successful, I believe, when we make money, when we help the environment, and when we help poverty likewise. So this is one answer, I believe, for ASEAN, because it's the same in ASEAN. The commercial models will all be there. It's playing game for everybody. But how about the smaller ones, which is half of our population, half are women, and that's where we make our stand. Because we need to create a different space for them, or they get thrown away, they just get lost, and at the end of it, they will not make money or business.
Yeah, maybe one thing to add there. I think the economic world, or the world of doing business, has never been as open as it is today with all these online platforms in all the different areas. Whether you're selling a service, say you want to teach English to Koreans online, or you sell a product, yeah, you have a fashion label on Zalora, or you have some general merchandising on Lazada, Shopee, whatever it is. I mean, it has never been that easy to set up your open business and reach a big population outside of your immediate residence and sell to them and engage in commerce. So I agree, it's a huge priority that we need to reach the bottom 50% of the population. And I think there's a lot of kind of advocacy and capability building and training involved with that. But the platforms in itself are really designed to empower the small ones above anyone else, because you never had as much of a level playing field. And if you're nimble and you have the right product to sell, you can really get out there and get big quite quickly.
I think this is the most important point. When we launched Lazada 6 years ago, I came to Philippines myself with my luggage and didn't know anything. It was a very challenging process to start a business from bottom up. You need investment, you need a business idea, you need to find people. But now in the Philippines, you don't need any of that. If you want to start a business, you just go to one of the platforms. It's the biggest entrepreneurial opportunity in the country. Nothing like this came before in the Philippines. Because for the first time, you have a level playing field. Even with the largest corporations in the Philippines, the smallest micro merchants in the street, they get the same fees, they get the same service, they reach out to the same customers. You don't need to get the most expensive corner spot in the shopping mall anymore. You don't need any capital. Yes, you may need some working capital, which you can also get from the platform, but for the first time, you are given an opportunity to reach out to millions of people, so please take advantage of this.
Okay. Now, having said all that, we had a discussion backstage again about the fact that when you go out to the field and you actually encounter what type of entrepreneurs are out there, the biggest question we've raised is, does that not, internet penetration access, does that not make an impact on you?
Well, there are a lot of challenges to e-commerce in the Philippines. The first one, as we know, is logistics. The second one is payments. And the third one is connection. When you come on a platform like ours, we take care of the logistics. We, in fact, have our own logistics delivery service. By only serving 70% of our Lazada volume, it became the second largest logistics company in the Philippines. We also take care of payments. We do cash-on delivery nationwide for the first time in the Philippines. And the third thing that's up to the merchant and the customer is connection. But today in the Philippines, most of our sales on both of our platforms, we get them on the mobile phones from our applications. So as long as there is phone connection, as long as there's a smartphone, anyone can order online. And we were discussing back inside, you don't even need to own this. You can go to someone that you know who has a smartphone, who has a connection, you can order as well. So it basically makes anyone in the Philippines a potential customer of e-commerce, a potential customer of e-commerce entrepreneurs.
So I think you have something to say on this in your experience when you went to the province.
Yeah, the access game, as we call it, of course, is a huge factor. But internet penetration, especially on mobile, as Inaj said, is increasing rapidly, right? And more you have people with internet access via their mobile phones. For Zalora, it's 70% of the people that shop via mobile. And the internet penetration is increasing rapidly. So within a couple of years, I think we'll have a very, very significant part of the population covered. And the second one is the access to products. If you live outside of Metro Manila in, say, CDO and Iloilo, but even in kind of more like fourth-tier cities, say in Batanes Island, like how did you used to get access to product if it's not available in your local community? You travel 2 hours to the next bigger city, or you fly to Manila once a quarter, or once a year, or whatever. I mean, it was tedious. And usually you used to buy the kind of last season's merchandise at double the price because that was the only thing available in your community. That has totally changed. You have access to, on Zalora, any brand that just launched, the latest merchandising, the latest trends, anything that people can buy in Metro Manila, New York City, or Singapore, you can buy in Batanes, and you're going to get it delivered within your doorstep in 4 days. And similar for Lazada and other platforms. So it's a great equalizer that we are seeing in these platforms across all categories. And it's happening more and more, and it's basically going one category at a time. So I think it's really a massive opportunity, both from a consumer perspective, to get more consumer value for your money and raise your living standards, and from a business perspective to build your business on the back of that.
So in short, the only thing keeping you from going onto an e-commerce platform and accessing 1 million people is a smartphone, correct? Okay, and I think many of us, how many here have smartphones? So you guys can go online right now and go onto their platforms and you have access to over 1 million people, 10 million, correct?
Yes.
Okay, 10 million.
Think, you know
and
what,
this goes across
I just
ASEAN.
have to say that because technology becomes the great what is the word?
Equalizer.
Yeah, equalizer. If we are women entrepreneurs and businesses, we need to get online. It's not like but we have to now. Because at the end, technology will keep moving forward. Businesses will keep innovating, right? And at the end, the omni platform becomes a space where we can play. So yes, we can have brick and mortar, we can have our small sari stores, whatever, but you have to get online, even as a trial. If you say, I'm going to sell one product, choose, right? But that is going to bring you within that space that is slowly becoming this omni platform where you can learn things, you can sell, you can buy and sell, you can resell, you know? So I think it's exciting. We need to get online.
Well, Filipinos, on the average, are very entrepreneurial now.
Yeah, maybe one thing just to add on your point, because it's that conversion of brick and mortar and how you can use the offline world of your offline store to also leverage the online opportunity. I was in Cebu a few months ago, I think 2 months ago, to visit some of our top customers in Cebu and just meet them and understand their needs. And I was looking through their customer profile, and I was looking at the order history of that lady, and I thought, this cannot be. She buys these shoes in all the different sizes, and she buys several times the same dress. And we're like, the team was almost looking at it as like, is there a fraud aspect going on? Is she abusing discounts or something? So then I met her, and she showed me around her little store, and she had this nice offline store where she put a little changing room in the back, and she had a computer with what she said was a prepaid Wi-Fi router. And people in the community would come to her and use her computer to shop online, and then she would place the orders for them, and they would come back a couple of days later to try on the goods, and she would advise them, oh, this is nice, and maybe this doesn't fit, and sometimes even give them credit, help them place the orders, help them return. So she was running a fashion store with more than 100,000 SKUs, doing a very personalized service with zero working capital, because she ordered COD, the stuff came to her store, and then she just paid.
So that in itself is a business. I was leading to that when I said Filipinos, and especially Filipino women, are very entrepreneurial. They set up their own business, buying online, charging people for the use of their computers or the service, a small amount, and they actually were able to create their own business. So, mga kababata, you have a new idea for you to start a small business, like your sari-sari store business. This is the sari-sari online Zalora and Lazada business, no?
Tina, you know what's interesting with us retailers, right? They still want to touch something. They want to smell it. They want to feel it. So the combination of having your product somewhere where they can go to and feel and touch and taste, and then put it online, begins the little circular sell of your products. Because no matter what, people want to try and feel, you know. That's what we see in Eco Store, and that's what you see in the Sari Sari store, and in our cooperative store, in the retail store. So it doesn't matter where you are. Put together an experience of your product, then they can buy online after they experience it. So it has to come together.
We actually encourage this. For example, if you buy shoes from Lazada, if your size is 37, you can order 36, 37, 38, and then it arrives, you try which one fits the best, send the other two back, and it's free of charge for returns. So if you want to touch, you can touch.
See? So, very innovative. With that, we have 12 minutes left. I'd like to ask for the audience to come up with some questions. Who would be interested in asking some questions, please? No questions? Anybody running to a mic? Okay, right down here, sorry.
Sure.
Hi guys, this is something very close to my heart because I do digital marketing, so I take care of e-commerce platforms. Now, my question is, you were talking about something in partnership with Great or with DTI. Is it something in the nature of drop shipping, like with Amazon and Shopify, where online resellers can actually have access to your inventory and then having them, cataloged and just shipped with your logistics, or is it something different?
So the partnership with DTI is we are putting together a cooperative so that non-registered businesses, individuals can also use our platform to reach to our customers. Using this, you can do drop shipment, meaning that whenever there is an order, our logistics company picks up and delivers it to the customer. But if you have a lot of products and you don't have warehouse space, you can also leave it in our warehouse, like Amazon. It's called Fulfillment by Lazada, so that we will fulfill the orders on behalf of you once your business takes off.
Okay, Echo Store, there's a question.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me ask questions. So this one is directed to Echo Store, ma'am. Hi. I'm Nina from Agri Growers Multipurpose Cooperative. We manufacture salads, gulay salads. So we supply to Rustan's supermarkets, Robinsons, and Ayala malls. So I want to know how I can put my salads on an online store and how is it possible to do the delivery that way. So that's number one. Number two, is it possible to put my product in your store? In your store.
That's an entrepreneur. First question to be answered in that, just putting your specific vegetables online like that is not really going to work. You'll have to create a different marketing spin of a salad, which is a totally different business, a totally different market direction, in that you have to sell B2C, right? You have to have salad, and you have a salad to go, so you link up with an app that is going to pick it up and deliver. But to put your salad there is gonna rot. That's not the direction, okay? You can put your salad direction as B2B, meaning your customers are going to be the hospitals, right? Or food and chefs, suppliers and restaurants. That's another direction, okay? Now, you're already, number two question, can you sell at Eco Store? You're already in Rustan's, in SM, wherever. We help the small ones. Once they grow, we bring them to the big stores. So we will bring you closer to SM so that you are expanding that direction, because we like to handhold our small producers. We check that, is it part of our slow food advocacy? What kind of seeds do you use, right? Are you really helping the farmer? That's where we are with what we do with our eco market, which are the vegetables. But I would suggest to you, create a salad business, if you want, from that, and then push it away, because just plain vegetables has a totally different market from going online and putting it online. Then you'll do a salad business or a delivery food business. That's how we would work this. But you know, if your products are clean and very green, and that's a criteria we check, traceability to the source, then, but you're already big. Then you bring it out.
I can help you with the first question going online. We are actually launching Lazada grocery business either end of this year or the beginning of next year. So fresh produce will also be able to sold on Lazada, starting with Metro Manila customers. We are going to have cold warehouses all around Metro Manila so that you can put your products there. Someone can order, within 2 hours you can deliver to the customers. Either end of this year or starting next year.
There's your answer. Now, I think we have to wrap up, so I'll give each one of you the opportunity to say something quickly to entice these people here to go onto your platforms for you guys to work with great women, and ask me how they can participate. And last but not least, Paul, retailing. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I would just say, if you're passionate about entrepreneurship, then find your space in the internet. Find your space to participate in that great online opportunity, whatever that space may be, and go for it. Because the barriers to starting a new business have never been that low. Whether it is selling on a platform like Zalora or Lazada, whether it is setting up your small little offline space and advising customers inside your store, leveraging the inventory, hundreds of thousands of SKUs of the online sites, like the lady I visited in Cebu, or whether you want to make your own online business and develop your own site or offer your services or whatever it is. But it has never been that easy to reach so many customers. And being English-speaking, fast here in the Philippines, the world is your home market, right? So I mean, before that, we were always constrained by the size of our home market. But online, speaking English and having a kind of international outlook, you can really target people anywhere in the world. So try it out. The barriers are not that big, and sometimes you're just gonna try it out and then figure it out along the way.
From the public sector's perspective, I believe that, at ASEAN level, we have seen, a lot of work has been done to harmonize, to integrate, to streamline, our ecosystem, so that trade barriers, can be eliminated, costs can be reduced, and perhaps, access to market can be widened. But at individual country level, still believe that the government has to play, its key role in supporting the development of e-commerce sector. We need to make sure that we provide an enabling environment. Infrastructure must be robust. We should be able to make sure that our e-payment, system is reliable, and all the, training programs, initiatives, capacity building, they all need to be put in place. And of course, we have to make sure that, our policies and regulatory environment are all business friendly to support the development of this sector.
Like what my fellow guests have mentioned earlier, and like what I always say, now perhaps retailing is probably now is the easiest time to one of the easiest times ever to get into retailing, whether or not you want to go to a physical store, or especially when you want to go digital, whether you want to build your own space or work through a platform. Now is probably one of the easiest times ever to get into business. And as I mentioned, retailing is one of the easiest ways to get into business. There's a big market out there, and take your idea, take it to market in whatever platform you choose. And if there is any assistance that my colleagues in my association, the PRA, can render to you, we are more than happy to help to encourage that entrepreneurial spirit in you.
Great Women is our platform in the Philippines. We began here. When I say ours, it's a Philippine-started initiative, both business and government in private and public-private partnership. This is what we give ASEAN. We are sharing this with the 9 other countries in ASEAN. So my say is, let's continue this direction of checking out what we're going to be doing, because we're going to be putting up the Great Women ASEAN, specific to services first. We will bring together the B2C under Mr. Lazada. Here we're just talking earlier. Yeah. But I think more than that, I think the end is inviting all of you to go into the sell and the buy impact, which is the good, the green, and the gender that we at EcoStore and Great Women espouse in everything we do. So buy from women, buy green, and do good in the impact as you purchase as conscious consumers. Follow us on Facebook, ecostore.ph, our website, and Great Women ASEAN. Please buy. We're the only entrepreneur here. We're the social entrepreneur. We need your help as we bring all inclusive businesses up to the ASEAN market. So join us. Check us out online.
So, is this for me? So for me, if you are here today, you are 90% there. If you took the time to come here, you are way ahead of your peers. Millions of people didn't take the initiative to come here today. So it shows me that you are 90% there. The next thing to do, if you are starting a new business, come on Lazada, open your store. If you already have an offline business, come on Lazada, let us help you to reach more people, or Zalora, any of the platforms, and let us help you reach your first billion peso sales. Thank you.
Thank you.
May we call on Joey Concepcion to join our speakers on stage for a photo opportunity.
Let's go, kinabukasan ay gawin nating makulay. Sama-sama na tayo sa tagumpay. Pilipinas ngayon na ang oras. Tayo'y masenso na. Let's go, Pinoy. Tara magnegosyo.